Hello, my name is Bobby Warren, and I perform comedy under the name Bobby Warren Male Nurse. I've been performing comedy since about 2010, and in that time I have learned that there are things that you can do to increase your chances for success at comedy. You have to go through the same sequence every performance, no matter how little or how small, to have good results. That sequence is to have good material, plenty of time to rehearse, and an effective delivery. Now, if you can go through that, you'll be good. Now, I want to go through each of those steps. For your material, you definitely want to talk about things you know about. If you talk about things that are personal to you and things you know about, the audience will respond better. For example, if you're a garbage man, you don't want to be talking about lunar landings. Talk about things that you know about. If you know more about your material than the audience does, they seem to respect that and they respond better. So after you have your material, be sure that it's appropriate for the audience. Okay? So you have your material. Now it's time to rehearse. Go over your material time and time and time again in your head. Think about what you want to say and how you want to say it. Get your timing down. Get your jokes spaced out. Allow times for your laughs if you think it's necessary, but just rehearse. Go over it and over it and over it. So after you have your material, after you've had time to rehearse, you have to focus on your delivery. Delivery can be somewhat complicated. I know everybody's heard about comedic timing, but it's also how you say what you want to get out there. For example, if you stumble over your material, or you have a lot of awkward pauses where you go, people aren't going to respond well to that. And if you're just standing there hoping somebody's going to laugh, they're not going to laugh. You have to be confident, you have to be straightforward, you have to be fluent, and you have to keep going to get a positive response in comedy. And I think it's very much the same in public speaking. So you have to have good material, you have to have plenty of time to rehearse, and you have to have an effective delivery. For me, I find that delivery needs to go one or two ways. See, I'm somewhat ethnically challenged being a white guy. So I have to look at the two extremes of my personality for comedy. I can either be like a really southern redneck kind of guy, or I can go for like a really smart British guy. And I kind of do that both in my comedy, and I kind of divide it up based on what I'm talking about. I find that if you're talking about something that's really serious or thought-provoking, it's best to go with the redneck accent if you want comedic response. But if you're talking about something off the wall and crazy and you want comedic response, it's better to go with like an intelligent accent. People just don't expect that accent to go along with the conversation or the material, and they like it. Now, I'm going to give you an example of this. My neighbor came over about a year ago, and he told me that my dog had ate his marijuana. Immediately, I knew this was going to be good comedic material. So I practiced it, I went over it, and I performed it a lot over the last year, and it really is been one of my best bits. So I'm just going to go through it right quick, and just so that you can see how this works out. So my neighbor came over the other day, looks at me, right in the eye and says, "Warren, are you aware of the fact that your dog has been eating my marijuana?" I told him, I was like, "I assure you, sir, had I known your marijuana was that readily accessible, I'd have been with the dog, quite honestly. But now mine and my dog's relationship is strained. I can't take him for a ride anymore. I know if we get pulled over, we'll get caught because the drug dog will sniff his butt. And they'll never believe he ate his own marijuana. And, I have no excuse for him, What can I say? It's medicinal, He has worms." So anyway, that's just an example of how I would perform it. That's what I get when I have good material, I have time to rehearse, and I have a good delivery. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the speech, and I would love to hear some positive and negative feedback. Thank you very much for your time.